The first stage of spiritual awakening is the state of unconsciousness. At this point in the journey, one exists entirely within the realm of the ego. It is a state of being where thoughts and emotions govern without any conscious awareness. The individual strongly identifies with these thoughts and feelings, believing them to be an essential part of who they are. The ego holds a tight grip, leaving little room for separation between the self and the subjective experience. In this state, people tend to react to life rather than consciously shape it. There's a persistent feeling of lacking control, which often leads to defensiveness, anger, and negativity. Life feels predetermined, as though events are simply happening to them, rather than something they are actively participating in or co-creating. Any trauma that arises during this stage further reinforces a belief in powerlessness or victimhood. Perceiving others clearly becomes very difficult. Every interaction is filtered through the lens of one's own past experiences, emotions, and mental projections. This blurring of perception distorts one's view of reality and inhibits genuine understanding and empathy toward others. This unconscious state is deeply entangled with the ego, merging one's sense of identity with thought and emotional patterns. There is little to no awareness of the observer self, the inner witness that exists behind all mental and emotional activity. However, even within the depth of unconsciousness, a spark of awakening begins to stir. At some point, the individual may begin to sense that something feels off or incomplete. A subtle but powerful question may arise: is this really all there is to me? That moment of questioning becomes the first light on the path toward awakening. Realizing the need to break free from unconscious patterns marks the beginning of the spiritual journey. It opens the door to self-inquiry, deeper awareness, and a return to one's true nature, not as a collection of thoughts and feelings, but as the awareness behind them. This stage may feel dark or heavy, but it is necessary. It is the soil in which the seed of transformation is planted. And once it begins to grow, there is no turning back. The second stage of spiritual awakening is known as ego death, a profound unraveling of the identity we once believed defined us. This isn't a physical death but a psychological and spiritual dissolution of the ego, the self-image built from labels like gender, age, beliefs, profession, or cultural identity. In this stage, individuals begin to realize that the story they've been telling themselves about who they are is not the essence of their being. All the tightly held beliefs about life, God, relationships, success, start to dissolve. A deep emptiness may follow, not in a negative sense, but as a clearing. This inner space allows something deeper to emerge. With the ego stripped away, a subtle shift happens. The observer self, the quiet awareness behind all thoughts and emotions, begins to surface. This awareness had always been there, but it was buried beneath the noise of the ego. Now, the individual can witness their inner experience without becoming fully identified with it. Ego death brings both liberation and discomfort. There's freedom in no longer being bound by old roles and narratives. But there's also fear in letting go of everything that once felt familiar and safe. This in-between space can feel like a void, a space where one is no longer the old self, yet not fully anchored in the new. As illusions fall away, the person sees clearly that the ego is a construct, shaped by society, childhood conditioning, and survival mechanisms. It is not the true self. This realization opens the door to deeper truth, to a self that is not based on identity, but on pure awareness and presence. Though this stage can be emotionally intense, it is also a sacred passage. The unraveling of the ego is not destruction, but a return to wholeness, to authenticity, to what is real beneath the performance. Ego death is a necessary threshold. Without crossing it, one cannot fully awaken. It marks the end of false self-definitions and the beginning of a more expansive, truthful existence. It is the death of illusion and the birth of true presence. After the collapse of the ego, something powerful begins to stir, the desire to search for deeper meaning. This is the stage known as the search, a journey driven not by fear, but by an inner calling to understand the truth of existence. At this point, the individual starts asking profound, existential questions. Who am I, really? Why was I born? What is the meaning of life? Is there a higher power, and if so, what is my relationship to it? These aren't surface-level curiosities. They arise from a genuine longing to reconnect with something greater, something real, beyond the illusions of the ego. In the search stage, people turn toward various sources for answers. They may explore spiritual teachings, sacred texts, philosophy, psychology, or energy-based practices. Many begin to meditate, pray, journal, or seek guidance from mentors, teachers, or even intuitive downloads through dreams and synchronicities. This is not an intellectual pursuit alone. It is deeply emotional and soulful. Every insight gained brings a sense of expansion, of lightness, of remembering something that was always known but long forgotten. The individual may find themselves resonating with teachings they had once overlooked. Now, those teachings seem to speak directly to the soul. During this stage, spiritual practices become not just habits but lifelines. Meditation brings clarity, prayer brings comfort, time in solitude becomes sacred, reading or listening to messages about truth becomes fuel for transformation. The search is both thrilling and humbling. It brings moments of blissful connection, but also moments of confusion or overwhelm. There may be times when everything seems clear, followed by days of uncertainty. This is natural, part of the spiral-like journey of awakening. But through it all, there is movement. There is awakening. There is the gradual, powerful shift from seeking answers outside to feeling truth within. The search is not about arriving at a single answer. It's about becoming someone who listens, someone open, present, and guided from within. It is in this seeking that the soul begins to remember who it truly is. The fourth stage of spiritual awakening is the emergence of the authentic self. This is the point in the journey where all the roles you've been playing, all the personas you've worn to fit into the world, begin to fall away. It becomes increasingly difficult to pretend, to conform, or to live according to expectations that no longer resonate with who you truly are. In this stage, a deep inner discomfort arises when engaging in anything that feels misaligned. Relationships that once seemed fine may now feel heavy or artificial. Jobs that once gave a sense of identity may now feel empty or draining. The more you return to your inner truth, the more everything that isn't aligned with that truth begins to naturally dissolve. This process is not always easy. It can involve significant changes in your external world. You might leave a long-term relationship, change your career, move to a new environment, or simply find yourself withdrawing from old social circles. It can feel like everything is falling apart, but in truth, it is falling into place. What emerges in this stage is the essence of who you were before the world told you who to be. It is a return to the innocence, clarity, and freedom often experienced in early childhood, before conditioning, trauma, and expectations shaped your personality. As this authentic version of you comes to the surface, it brings both power and vulnerability. You can no longer hide behind masks. You speak your truth, often for the first time. You set boundaries. You choose what nourishes your soul, not what gains approval. Emotionally, this stage can be intense. Old wounds may resurface for healing. Your body may go through shifts as it adjusts to your new frequency. Intuition sharpens. Dreams become vivid. You may even experience physical sensations of release or energetic activation. But through all the changes, one thing becomes clear: you can no longer abandon yourself. You are no longer willing to betray your truth for acceptance. This stage is not about becoming someone new. It is about returning to who you've always been, your most honest, embodied, and powerful self. The final stage of the spiritual awakening journey is known as life of alignment. This is not simply the outcome of transformation, it is the embodiment of it. Here, the inner and outer worlds come into harmony. You live, speak, and act from the deepest part of who you are. In this stage, there is no longer a gap between your values and your actions. You don't just know truth, you live it. You don't just believe in compassion, you practice it. There is a deep sense of self-acceptance. Not because you are perfect, but because you understand that even your imperfections are part of your wholeness. Self-love becomes a way of being, not just a concept. You speak to yourself with kindness. You honor your needs, your limits, and your rhythms. You no longer strive to fix yourself, You nurture yourself. You become your own safe space, your own source of encouragement and support. This alignment naturally extends to others. Relationships become more authentic, boundaries are clearer, yet softer. You recognize that everyone is walking their own path, and you hold space for their growth without trying to control or save them. There is empathy without attachment, love without possession, and presence without pretense. But this stage doesn't stop with humans. Your connection to the earth deepens. You begin to feel the sacredness of nature, the trees, the sky, the animals, even the stillness in a quiet room. Everything becomes part of your spiritual experience. The world itself feels alive, interconnected, and meaningful. Importantly, a life of alignment is not always light and easy. You still face challenges, you still feel pain, but you meet life with grace, knowing that every experience, even the difficult ones, is part of the unfolding of your soul. You no longer run from darkness, but greet it with compassion. This is not a destination, but a way of walking, a way of breathing, a way of loving. You don't need to seek the path anymore, because you have become the path. You are living in truth, guided by presence, and deeply rooted in the wisdom of your own being. This is the awakened life. Advice for you. The journey of spiritual awakening is a long and challenging process. Each stage you go through offers an opportunity to explore yourself and gain a deeper understanding of the world around you. Don't be afraid of the difficulties, as they are signs of growth. Every step in this journey will help you break free from old limitations, remove false beliefs, and ultimately uncover your true essence. As you move through these stages, remember that awakening is not a final destination, but a continuous process. Embrace every change, accept the emotions and challenges you encounter, because they are invisible teachers helping you grow stronger each day. Finally, when you reach the alignment stage, remember that connection with yourself, with others, and with the world around you is an essential part of your journey. Live with love, compassion, and understanding, and you'll find that life becomes more meaningful and peaceful than ever before.